The world, as you know it, might be an illusion. Maybe it was never real. Maybe you don't even exist. Maybe you're just dreaming yourself. What you call reality, the chair you're sitting on, the air you're breathing, even your body, all of it might be nothing more than a dream dreamed by consciousness. And you are part of it. Welcome to Idealism, a world of thought where matter is not the foundation, where nothing exists by itself, where stone, fire, silence, all live only in the mind that perceives them. This idea isn't new. It came long before science, before laboratories, before any theory of everything. It was born from darkness, from doubt, from a quiet question that once emerged. What if the world isn't the one looking at me, but I'm the one creating it by looking? Idealism claims that reality is not independent, that it doesn't exist without an observer, that the world is not something outside of us, but something inside. What you see, hear, feel, none of it is objective. It's an image, an impression, a thought. And if there's nothing we perceive that exists outside our perception, how can we know the world continues when we close our eyes, or when we sleep? What if everything ceases to be and is born again only when we notice it? Reality becomes fragile. It crumbles beneath our feet because its only foundation is the mind. But what is the mind? Who governs it? Are we many or just one, looking out from many bodies at once? Perhaps we are not in the world. Perhaps the world is in us. Idealism didn't appear overnight. It didn't come in a single moment. It is a stream that runs through the history of thought, like a shadow, an echo of doubt, a whisper that asks, what is real? Its first traces lead back to ancient Greece, to a philosopher whose name you know, but whose meaning most never truly hear, Plato. To him, this world wasn't the real one. Everything we see is only a reflection, shadows on the wall of a cave. The real lies elsewhere, in the realm of ideas, timeless, perfect forms that never change. The table you touch is not real. It's just a faded imitation of the ideal table you'll never see, but that exists in thought. Plato never said idealism, but he planted its seed, the belief that truth is not in the world, but in the mind. Centuries passed, the world changed, but doubt remained. Then came a man who turned everything upside down, René Descartes. He lived in a time of chaos, war, and uncertainty, so he did the only thing he could. He began to doubt everything. Maybe what I think is waking is a dream. Maybe a demon deceives my senses. Maybe everything is a lie. But one thing remained, a thinking self. Cogito ergo sum. I think. Cogito ergo sum. I think, therefore I am. With this, Descartes fired an arrow into the heart of reality. He showed that everything could be illusion, except consciousness itself, and idealism breathed again. Then came a man who denied that things exist unless perceived, George Berkeley. To be is to be perceived. A tree falls in the forest, but if no one is there to hear it, does it make a sound? Does it fall at all? Berkeley argued that the world persists only because it is constantly perceived by a divine mind. Without perception, things dissolve. And finally, Immanuel Kant, the man who tied earth to heaven. He said, the thing in itself, true reality, is forever hidden. All we ever know is what passes through our filter, our mind, shaped by space, time, causality. We never see the world as it is, only the world as it appears to us. So again, reality folded back into the mind. The mind is not a mirror of the world. The world is a mirror of the mind. Time moved on. The world changed. Science stepped in. Precision, microscopes, particles, equations. It seemed reality could finally be grasped, measured, calculated. But the deeper we looked into matter, the less we understood. Physics revealed that atoms are not solid. Most of what we call matter is empty space. Particles behave differently when we interact with them, not because we observe them with our minds, but because even the smallest interaction alters their state. The quantum world is not a fixed backdrop, but a process, sensitive to every touch. Quantum physics doesn't say the world is just mind, but it shows that without interaction, reality behaves differently, probabilistically. Idealism came alive again, not as dogma, but as a possible answer to the questions science hasn't yet resolved. Some philosophers, like Bernardo Kastrup, began to argue that consciousness isn't a product of the brain, but that the brain is more like an interface, a filter, linking individual awareness with a deeper layer of reality. That what we call the objective world might be a shared mental structure, an immaterial space where our minds reflect each other. And technology, the very thing meant to bring clarity, has cast new fog. Virtual worlds, simulations, artificial intelligence, all remind us how easy it is to create illusion and how difficult it is to tell dream from reality. If you can experience a fully believable world in a headset, what tells you this world isn't just that? Consciousness once again becomes a mystery, perhaps the last thing we truly have. Idealism is no longer just philosophy. It's a question that reality itself seems to be asking. What is real, and what is only image? And if all images exist within the mind, where does the world end, and where do you begin? If everything is just mind, then where does that mind come from? If the world is a dream, who's dreaming it? And how is it that we all seem to share the same dream? Why do we see the same trees, hear the same thunder, feel pain in the same way, if we each live inside our own consciousness? If everything is thought, where does yours end and mine begin? And yet, some moments remain unsettling. When you dream, you believe it's real. When you're awake, you believe this is real. But what if the only difference is that we all agree on this one? What if this reality holds together only because we participate in it, because we perceive it, and create it together? And what if the body you sense isn't the source of consciousness, but its projection? What if the brain is like a radio, not thinking, but tuning in? And what it tunes into is mind. This is just one view, just a possibility, but one that isn't easily dismissed. It isn't proven, and it isn't certain. But like many things in our world, it might be real, precisely because we can't be sure that it's not. Have you ever wondered that everything you perceive might just be reflection, that you never see the world as it is, only as you're able to process it, that you never leave the borders of your own mind, and the world around you isn't outside, but within? And still, that doesn't mean reality doesn't exist. Perhaps it's just different than you see it, different than you can even imagine. Perhaps it never fully reveals itself, but in every moment, it sends you its shadow. And in that shadow, you search for meaning. And maybe, just maybe, that search itself is the only proof that you are. That something is, even if you don't know what. So the question remains, unanswered, but alive. What if all of this is just you? Even though this idea can't be easily disproved, it still leaves many questions open. Because if everything is just mind, and no objective reality exists, we end up with a strange conclusion, that there's no real stability, no permanence, no fixed law that doesn't depend on us. And yet, the world around us seems consistent, even when we sleep, even when we stop looking, even when we forget it exists. That's one of many reasons why idealism, though a powerful thought, is not without cracks. And those cracks, and the questions they raise, deserve more than silent agreement. A deeper examination, an exploration of where this worldview makes sense, and where it may begin to fall apart, will be one of the directions this space will follow. But not just yet, because some things you have to feel first, before you begin to take them apart.